Hello, friends. Over the weekend, this past weekend, I attended a wedding in Manchester, Vermont, not far at all from Stratton Mountain. And Father Dan Griffin was the presider at the wedding, and I traveled along with him and attended the wedding. And to get there, we used Waze as our GPS. Now, let me be frank, I'm not a huge fan of Waze. Father Dan is. Waze, it seems to me, always brings you along all these back roads, and what I prefer is, most of the trip on the major highways. You get off the major highway, and maybe you've got 10 minutes to go before you get to your final destination. But no. Waze took us up the New York State Thruway up to Albany, and then I think we were on back roads for about an hour and a half, winding through farmland and small New England hamlets and one lane in either direction. And many times I was asking myself, where are we? And again, when we came home, it was the same thing. About an hour and a half through back roads and always wondering, where are we? And I wasn't comfortable with that. I like to know exactly where I am at all times, and I like to know exactly how I'm going to get to my destination at all times. And then I thought to myself, well, this is a little bit like life. It's a little bit like faith. We don't always know the way we're going. Sometimes there are twists and turns and long, confusing stretches of life. But just as Waze got us to our destination, and I eventually surrendered and said, well, I have to trust in Waze. We have to trust in God's ways as well. And that's not always easy to do, because God's ways are not always man's ways. Back in the mid-19th century, St. John Henry Newman wrote a rather famous hymn, "Lead kindly light, lead thou me on. I do not see the distant scene, one step enough for me." And that's a good couple of lines for me to keep in mind. Those of you who know me have to know I'm somewhat of a control freak. I like to have every detail planned out to the very last degree, and I like to see the whole picture. But sometimes we can't in life, and we just have to trust God. So, believe it or not, that trip up to Vermont taught me a really important lesson, or reinforced a really important lesson. I've got to trust God's ways, even though God's ways are not mine. Thanks for listening, and I hope we all get to our destination, our heavenly home. God bless.